What's going on, boys? It's Daddy Big here, and I want to welcome you back to the series where I talk about getting my teeth ripped out of my skull. I guess. Yeah, yeah. So I got my wisdom teeth out recently, and it sucked a lot more than I thought it did. I'm gonna be honest. Many of you out there have probably also had this experience. It's pretty common to get them out, I think, because it just kind of messes stuff up back there. And in my case, my parents spent so much money on braces for me that getting my teeth even more messed up after finally fixing them would be uh, uh, an economic misstep, we'll say. So I kind of just wanted to talk about my experiences with the whole surgery and the aftermath and everything, and also just tell some funny stories from when I was drugged up because that's also a pretty big part of it. So yeah, day of the surgery, I wasn't able to eat 6 hours before, so I woke up, had a big breakfast, and I was feeling pretty good. The other thing is, not only can you not eat a certain amount before, but you can't drink either. I was explained. The explanation I heard was that if you have anything in your stomach, you have the possibility of vomiting and asphyxiating your vomit during the surgery. So my thought process was that I don't want to go out like that, so I went with it, you know what I mean? But it did suck because I do drink a lot of water throughout the day, so I was feeling real dehydrated. I just remember sitting in the operation room with the nurse there talking to me about what was about to happen. My doctor hadn't even gotten there yet, and I was just staring at the wall with like the most like the generic like dentist pop radio that plays. I don't remember. I wish I remembered which song it was because it was really funny. But I was just like staring into space, and I remember I had to keep signing all these forms and stuff, and I was like, it took me like way too long to read all the stuff. I just wasn't even able to focus. But yeah. So I sit down, and doctor comes in. He explains stuff to me. He's real straightforward. He was a nice guy for sure, and ready to put the IV in, and I really don't like anything with like my blood or like poking. Like one time I had to get my blood drawn, and I decided I would try watching because they say that if you watch it, it's not scary. And it wasn't like I was scared, but watching my own blood, like watching somebody insert something into my arm, like my skin get punctured, have that feeling, and then watch my blood come out of a tube. It was not it, Chief, and like they had to bring me some apple juice. You feel me? But so yeah, I don't look anymore. But I remember they asked me like, "Oh, how do you want us to?" They did the disinfectant wipe, and they're like, "Hi, you want me to count you down? You want me to surprise you? What do you want me to do?" And I was like, "Just give me the 3, 2, 1." And I felt fine when Doc put the IV in, but I was waiting on him. I was waiting on him to start pumping the good stuff, and it took about 1 to 2 minutes before they sedated me, and I was starting to panic a little bit. I was sitting there, starting to breathe a little bit heavy. I got this clamp on my finger. I got a cuff around my arm, so I was starting to freak out a little bit. But I stayed calm, and I dealt with it by I turned around and I was like, and that they were getting stuff around. And my doctor was like, "Don't worry, buddy. I'm getting the good stuff mixed up for you right now." And I was trying to keep myself busy by asking him about what the sedation would do. And I was like, "Hey," I said to the doctor, I was like, "Hey, I even signed the form that says I won't sell those opioids you gave me." And I remember his assistant just laughing and saying, "You're funny." But I never actually ended up taking the hardcore pain meds. I just stuck with the non-addictive stuff because my pain wasn't that bad. But we'll get there in a minute. So the sedation it felt really weird, right? Because like at the time, it felt like I didn't fall asleep. Like I felt like I was awake for the whole time, but after looking back on it, it felt like I was awake the whole time, but that the whole procedure took like only a minute. Cuz like I remember he pumped me up with the good stuff, and I remember feeling relaxed. And then I remember the doctor saying to me, "All right, buddy, you're doing great. We're almost done." And then I remember being in the recovery room. I don't remember walking to the recovery room. I don't remember him actually doing anything to my mouth So at the time, I was convinced, and I was telling the nurse, I was telling my mom, I was like, no, no, I was awake the whole time. And the nurse just looked at my mom like, no, no, he wasn't. Which is pretty funny. And I don't remember this either, but my mom told me that the nurse was explaining everything to me, and I was just staring blankly, glassy-eyed at her. And apparently she asked if I wanted to keep my teeth, and I just dully nodded. So then the nurse was helping bring me out to the car, and I was hobbling around, you know. And the nurse was just like, "You gonna go home and watch some movies?" And I was like, "No, I'm gonna go party." So yeah, I was in a really funny mood at the time. I do remember this happening. I was my mom was driving me home, and I was sitting in the front seat on the passenger side, seeing double, and I just looked at her for a second, and I was just like closing my eyes and then like looking and like closing my eyes, and I just looked over at my mom, and I said, "It's a good thing you're driving," which was a pretty funny one-liner. But then best of all, I got home, and my parents are taking good care of me. They lay me on the couch in a nice pillow. My dad was trying to talk to me, and he was like, "Hey, you gonna take a nap?" And I was like, "I'm not sleeping. I'm not sleeping." You know, I was, I was convinced that I wasn't gonna sleep, and then I promptly napped for like 4 hours. So, yeah, I mean, obviously at first, I remember the first night I was still numbed up, but like my face was still numb, so that was weird, but it wasn't really that bad, you know. And then the day after that was really bad because I was taking steroids and pain meds, but the steroids really got me messed up. The steroids were just to ease the swelling in my face, which ended up not being that bad. The procedure itself went off without a hitch, and now that it's all said and done, I have like nothing, no concerns right now, so I'm grateful for that. But yeah, what was I just talking about? Oh yeah, the second day. The second day was rough because I had been taking the steroids, right? And I remember I slept really well the first night, but the second night I went to bed, you know, whatever, 10, 11 o'clock like I normally would. And then I got like 3 hours of sleep, woke up, and just could not fall back asleep. I was so wired up. I was sitting there like shaky, sweaty, and I kept having like muscle spasms. So I was just sitting there for like 4 hours. And finally I had been so long awake that I was like really hungry. So I ran up to grab a little snack and get some water, and then I went back down and I started researching like all the different side effects of all the stuff I was taking, because I was like, what is even going on? And I'm pretty convinced it was the steroids that I was taking oral steroids, so I was looking up those, and nothing I had really lined up with the potential side effects of those. But what did line up was ibuprofen overdose. That was like all of the symptoms I was having, according to the website I looked at. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not what's going on. But you know, had me a little freaked out, you know. And at this point I had been awake for 5 hours. There was basically no hope for me. So I remember I woke up my mom at like 5 in the morning, and I was like, "Bro, these are my symptoms. I looked it up and this is what lined up, like what's even going on?" And I just remember my mom was like, "Oh, you didn't overdose, you're fine, you know, just try to go back to bed." And then I was like, "I want to get some oatmeal," and she was like, "Okay," you know. So then I remember I just went back to sit on the couch, and I was under the impression that my mom would like get up and like help me out for a second, you know. But I just distinctly remember hearing the door to their bedroom close. And in that moment, I was like, dude, I'm on my own, you know? Because I mean, like my parents did a really, like, they went above and beyond trying to help me recover. But, you know, I mean, I'm not gonna like expect them to get up and wait on me at 5 in the morning, you know? They're trying to sleep. It's not their fault that I can't sleep, you know? So I was like, man, I gotta be a big boy out here. So yeah, I remember because it had been like 5, 6 hours I'd been awake without eating at all since then. I know I said I got a snack, but now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't. I just talked to my parents. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I gotta make myself some oatmeal because I can't even eat anything else, you know. So I want to get some breakfast food in, and I just distinctly remember sitting there with like a blanket wrapped around me, staring at the microwave, watching the oatmeal turn around, in there. And when I took it out, I just remember my hands just shaking so bad as I was like adding the honey and stuff. But then yeah, I lived through that whole day on 3 hours of sleep. And for like the first 4 days that I was chilling, I just watched or not, didn't watch. I basically just I grinded the hell out of Black Ops 4 because I know I haven't played it on the channel yet, but I did get Black Ops 4 a few weeks ago, and since I didn't have anything else to do, I just hopped on Blood of the Dead casual and grinded out some of the dark matter, which I haven't really done at all since then, because dark matter grind is its own beast. I'll talk about it in a different video, but basically it was perfect for me at the time because I just needed mindless entertainment. And I was thinking that, hey, if I do end up going for dark matter, this will have made a big difference. So that, I mean, it did. I got like thousands. I got like I was getting like I was churning out like 6 gold camos a day. I was actually hustling. But yeah. As far as food, I had a lot of at first I was having a lot of potatoes and stuffing, but then I very quickly grew tired of those. I remember I really wanted potato soup, and my parents were out, so they grabbed me some from the store, just like some canned stuff, and ended up being like really like fake smoky. Like when bacon is fake smoky. There wasn't even any bacon in it. They just made the potato soup fake smoky. And I distinctly remember my dad was eating like barbecue chicken from me across the table. So I was kept smelling the soup and smelling like this smoky barbecue thing. And I was eating it and tasting it, and I kept thinking it was my dad's barbecue he was eating. But after a while I was like, no, this is the soup. And I kind of hate that flavor, so that kind of ruined me for potatoes after that. But then I distinctly remember like 4th day, I was feeling like total crap. But then my dad picked up some Kraft mac and cheese for me, and after eating it, somehow magically I was cured. I don't know how, but like that was the first time I had felt good since the surgery. So yeah, from then on and then since, I've downed like 6 boxes of of the Kraft. And about a week and a half in, maybe I think more like 12, 13 days in was no, more like 10, 11 days was the first time I chewed since the surgery. I think I had some cheese, and 2-week mark is like the time that you're good to go. And as we got up to that, I started chewing some soft stuff, and then by 2 weeks you're pretty much able to eat normally again. So yeah, all in all, it really sucked for the first week because I was having a lot of pain. It just felt like total garbage. But then once the pain eased up and all the side effects went away, like I stopped taking the steroids and everything. That's another thing too. I don't know if it was just because of how different my diet was with everything going on at the time, but about day 4 or 5, I was like seriously constipated. So I ended up, on top of all of the other drugs I had exposed my body to over the week, I took some laxatives, and I was like, okay, these aren't really working. But then I found out that about 48 hours in, they work. And I had taken 2 doses, and the second dose hit me while I was on a shift at Jimmy John's. And I remember I was gone for like 40 minutes, and I came back and my manager was just like, hey bro, you okay? And I was like, yeah, you want the full story? And he was like, nah, don't even worry about it. So yeah, that was funny. But after that, the pain went away, got the colon cleaned out. I don't know if that's TMI for some people, but it's kind of what happened. And yeah, after all that, I started feeling pretty good, and I started having a better time at things, getting back to normal life. So yeah, my official review on wisdom teeth, MF stole my teeth, can't have shit in Detroit kind of thing. But other than that, not, would I do it again? I mean, there wouldn't be anything for them to take. So no. I'm feeling, a hard 5 to a light 6 on the whole experience, And yeah, in any case, I want to thank you boys for watching, and really, really big plans for the channel coming up, okay? I know it's been slow the past few months, and it's going to be slow getting into things again, But I have some massive things coming down the line. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, I'll see you around.